How's it going, everybody? It's me, Shane. I'm here to give you my review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Oh boy. I saw this movie earlier and you're in for a wild ride. But before I go any further, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this one. Oh man, guys. We're at the end of another trilogy, although you would think with Thor wasn't really ending, was it? Because he got 4 movies, and then we possibly going to get a serious 5 movie because that's what Chris Hemsworth wants. But out of all the trilogies of the MCU, which includes Iron Man, not the best trilogy, Captain America, technically the Avengers, although Endgame and Infinity War were supposed to be one movie, so does that count? I won't count it, but makes you think. And then there's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I already mentioned Thor had one. See, it's weird. How do you include Thor? Do you not include Thor? Do you include the Avengers? Do you not? Because if you include the Avengers up into Infinity War, that's technically the best trilogy right there. But Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy by James Gunn, it's over. It's done with. It's amazing. It is beats Iron Man and Thor completely. Amazing. One of the best things about these movies is how, if you want to be honest with you, yes, Avengers kind of made, put Iron Man put the MCU on the map, but Avengers made it go, oh man, you guys can do these ensemble movies with several different characters, all of them get screen time, and it's really good. Well, what Guardians of the Galaxy did say, hey, you don't know any of these characters, so here's a movie with 5 different characters. We'll shove them all together, and we're gonna have a story through it. And even in the second movie, hey, now here's 7 to 8 different characters. Shove them all together, you'll have a good time. And now in this movie, literally, I'm not gonna have that running behind me, but literally, he had 6 different Guardians, which should be the Nebula, Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Drax, Mantis, Kraglin, and Cosmo. They're in the team, and they're there, and so is Gamora. So you have 9 characters. Then you got Adam Warlock. Man, oh man. So yes, several different characters, all at the same time, including our villain, the High Revolutionary, who's usually like an X-Men villain because he deals with manipulating genes and trying to make the best species and make humanity go up and up. But he cool. Actually, he's the reason why Wanda and Pietro are technically not mutants. They're actually enhanced people thing. Thanks for that retcon too, Marvel. You guys hated the X-Men. The guy who did all that was fired too. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and break. Let's tell you about the plot real quick. Tell you about the plot. Adam Warlock, who is the son of Alyssa, the Golden Lady from the second movie, with I cannot remember those aliens' names, the Gold Aliens. And I'm gonna be honest, I could have looked it up, but let's be real. If I'm definitely not gonna remember them. You all won't probably remember them if you're more of a casual viewer. But when you hear the name, you know who the race of beings are. He shows up after, and this is after the gang had to put Peter Quill and had to put him to bed because he's been getting drunk. He's been super sad because he still ain't got his Gamora. Technically, he saw her die, and now she's here, but she's not here, and she's not with him, obviously. Very interesting that this movie starts off centered around Rocket. I'll get to that in a second. Actually, let me just make a note so I don't forget by the end of the movie, by the end of the review. But yes, he gets drunk. They're all around him to get him in the bed. It's great. And then that's when Adam Warlock attacks. His attack is so brutal. He Broly'd Groot. So Groot jumped on top. And Groot jumped on top of him, tried to smother him with his vines, and he just drug him all around nowhere, the HQ of the Guardians. Also, I guess they own their own city, state, place. This is where they let people live. But got a Groot down till he was just ahead. Then you have the initial when he burst through the window and hit Rocket. Nebula comes down to fight him. Dude beats Nebula's ass, and we get to learn about some of Nebula's new powers. Who else did he fight? Kraglin tried to do the whistle thing. He's been working on it. Unfortunately, this leads to a funny throw line where he calls Cosmo a bad dog, and dogs don't like to be called a bad dog. It bothers her. Remember, Cosmo is a she in this universe, based on the original dog from Russia that Cosmo was based on. Is technically a female dog. Who cares? Her gender does not matter. But he couldn't do anything. Drax got some hits in. Drax did some work. He was beating that button, but then Adam Warlock got the upper hand, was mashing and mashing and mashing. At one point, he hits Rocket so hard, Rocket's flying, and Rocket is actively dying. So they gotta get these cool med packs. He broke Mantis's arm, and Nebula stabbed dude with her arm, can morph thanks to some upgrades from Rocket. Stabbed him with a heated blade. He was still able to leave, but the dude is nigh indestructible. But stabbed him, and now we're at the plot of our story. The main plot. We got to save Rocket's life, because when they tried to use the med pack, apparently the cybernetics inside of Rocket have a kill switch, which means anyone tries to open him up or anyone tries to, I guess, use a med pack and fix him, it switches on to kill him. So they find out these coordinates, they find out where to go, they have to go, and a la mode, or should I say voila, because a la mode is not the word I'm looking for. Voila. We got to go after the Higher Evolutionary's place, because the code that could turn this thing off is with him and his people. Whew. And that's a pretty, I think I did a pretty good job explaining all that within 5 minutes or less. And it is such a wild ride. So when I go by one, let's talk about music. One of the best things about this series, I actually bought the soundtracks for the first 2 movies on cassette tape. Really, really good. The music, like the end credits, the song for the end credits was Badlands by Bruce Springsteen. I can't, first of all, I'm glad that my theater early show was almost empty, because I got to sing Badlands. There was the scene with Earth, Wind, and Fire's The Reasons. I didn't write that in my notes, but instantly comes to me when Reasons is playing, when you think that Drax is gonna die because he gets shot hard in the chest and hard in the back, and that's playing as they're getting out of there, and Peter's going back and forth with Gamora. So good. Rocket plays Come and Get Your Love. We hear the song that the series started off with towards the end. That was great. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. This song is played a lot. Probably the Beastie Boys' most well-known song, probably their best song, if we're honest. I'm not a huge Beastie Boys fan, but the scene that this song plays during is one of my favorite scenes. It is the ensemble fight scene where they're fighting all of the I can't remember what the Higher Evolution calls them, but they're like these war beings that he made to protect his new citizens on a new colony. We'll definitely get to, hopefully I'll remember to get to that, but that whole entire scene was fantastically shot, amazing. It reminded me of the Age of Ultron, not even Age of Ultron fight, but it reminded me of like the first Avengers fight, right? Where you get to see everybody doing things, but in this one it's more like the Age of Ultron, because they're all fighting these things and they're doing amazing stuff together. Where am I at here? Since You've Been Gone by Rainbow, that was in the trailers. Great song. And the ending song that has everyone dancing, even Drax dances at the end of this. is Florence and the Machine's dog days are over. So, that scene was so good. It's and this movie is funny because I'm hearing some people don't like the movie because mind you, this is spoiler. So you've gotten this far. 10 minutes and you gotten this far. So you know it's spoilers. Look, a lot of people are upset because no one dies in this movie. And I feel like they earned this, right? A lot of people are mad at subverting expectations. You know, it's weird because everyone was expecting someone to die because someone technically died in every movie. Groot, the first Groot died in the first movie. Second movie was Yondu. And the thing about it is, why should we have a death every movie, right? That doesn't really make the stakes real. It just means like, oh, I expect someone to die because they always die in these movies. It's not a horror movie. It is a heart-wrenching movie about family, moving on, learning where you come from, accepting things for the way they are, and knowing who you are. That's what this movie is about. It's not horror. It's not like Doctor Strange where it's supposed to be horror. None of those things. Just amazing. Quill did give Rocket the zoom at the end and added 2000s music, which that's where the Florence and the Machine song came from. So the music 5 out of 5. The look of this movie is a 5 out of 5. Not the CGI was great, and CGI moments like Nebula's arm morphing and changing, Adam Warlock's powers and him flying and stuff. That was great. The practical effects were great too. When you have these animal people that have been hobbled and, well, not even hobbled together, created by the higher evolutionary. Thanks in part to Rocket, because baby Rocket, who is so adorable, he figures out how, like when he makes the machine that turned a turtle into Angry Turtle Man, he's like, it makes the protein in them turn into rage beasts, and he kills them by incinerating them. So this movie has a message of animal cruelty as well. So yeah, but I think it's done in a very tasteful way. It's done in a way that's supposed to make you go, this is wrong, this is horrible, right? If you don't care about animals, you're heartless anyway. So the practical effects of the animal people, and there's a practical effect of the warmongering beast I told you about that they have to fight towards the end. When they're first being released by Squid Tentacle War Beast guy, because High Evolution has 3 War Beasts, has War Pig, War Hulk, and I'm calling this War Octopus. You see one of the things kind of screech and roar, and you can just tell right away it's practical effects. And that's amazing on May the 4th. Haha, May the 4th be with you. So that's amazing. 5 out of 5. Set pieces look good. Like Counter Earth looks like a Counter Earth. Fantastic. Now, where have I gone? PE animal. Nope. The pacing. The pacing of this movie is amazing. Now, one of the things that some people don't like in movies is starting with a flashback backstory, kind of like how Shang-Chi did. Shang-Chi started with, here's what happened in the past. That was the beginning, which Shang-Chi is one of the better movies of. Is it still in the current phase? Is it still phase 4? Or is this phase 5? Still one of the better movies of phase 4 or 5, whatever phase we're in, right? Shang-Chi is possibly number 1, well, arguably 2 or 3, right? Top 2 or 3. And that was fine for how they showed his backstory. For this, every time we were shown Rocket, I guess Rocket his life is flashing before his eyes. And so we're seeing when he was a baby raccoon and all the other raccoons ran to the back and the evolutionary pulled him out and they experimented on him and opened up his brain and did all these things to him. And when he first meets his animal friends, the walrus Teefs, the bunny rabbit Floor, the otter Lila, which these guys are all like, the walrus has wheels for legs, otter has robot hands, the rabbit is basically a spider rabbit with spider-like legs, and those characters are actually based off of other Marvel characters. Lila is the real is real. She's alive in the comic books, but Lila's real. She is played by Hawkeye's wife. I can't remember her name. She plays Velma. Name escapes me. I could probably just look it up live. Linda Cardellini. There we go. And there's actually a lot of Marvel actors who play side roles that are actually voices in here, such as Ant-Man's ex-wife. She plays the voice of the War Pig, who gets brutally murdered by Adam Warlock. Walrus is Walrus. That's who Teep's supposed to be. And the rabbit Floor is actually Black Jack O'Hare. So these characters in the comics are actually friends of his. And James Gunn, I watched the interview that he had today where to understand Rocket, he made this backstory. Now, Rocket's backstory is more or less the same. He is genetically engineered, but they were genetically engineered for a different purpose. And I like how they made it for the MCU. It was an interesting backstory. So the pacing, I haven't forgotten. The pacing is fantastic because you're going back between, seeing what happened to him in flashbacks, seeing how his friends died, how he would always take a little piece of something every time he was with the Master, the Higher Evolutionary, and seeing how he would cobble together. He made a key that could break out of all of the cells, and seeing how he was smart enough to understand how the problem was and how he came from where he came from. Amazing. And when we go from, I guess you go from planet to scene, you don't feel like anything drags on, right? Like everything feels well paced, well done. The funny parts are supposed to be funny. The heart-wrenching parts are very heart-wrenching. There are several moments in this movie where you're like, oh my God, this person's going to die. And they don't, thank goodness. Or you're like, oh my goodness, this is, and it doesn't. And it does a good job of that, of just gripping you and suspending your disbelief for such a long time that you're in for the ride. 5 out of 5 pacing would not change a thing. I brought up the plot. The first thing I brought up was the plot. The plot's a 5 out of 5. It's funny. Rocket is at the center of this, and towards the end of the movie, when he's dying, was a hard part to watch. Rocket dying, even though they get the code, and Rocket is dying, and the code's not going fast enough, and Peter's doing manual chest compressions. Rocket is actually his best friend. Draxler's second best friend, but no, it's his best friend. He's doing the chest compressions, and Peter's not letting go. He does not want to let him go. And Rocket sees Lila and the others in the afterlife. He's apologizing. He's like, I'm so sorry I got you all killed. Which, let's talk about that scene. Because Rocket got his name. Lila, I don't know where Lila got her name. Walrus calls himself Teefs because he has the Teefs. And Floor, I'm on the floor. I'm Floor. Rocket saw Rocket while with the High Evolutionary. He's like, I want to go into the sky with my friends and go on adventures. That's where his name comes from. He learns how to shoot because High Evolutionary shot Lila. And High Evolutionary looks down so much on these beings of Batch 89. He planned on murdering them because what use does he have with them now that he's going to have these human animals? And Rocket scratches the shit out of his face. He goes full raccoon on him and just gets him. He already called in guards for whatever, to help. And he was going to take out Rocket's brain and kill everybody else anyway. And Rocket grabs his gun and kills who he needs to kill. And he hotwires Rocket, a plane, and gets the heck out of there. So, excuse me. So, and at one point in this flashback, in this afterlife scene, where he's like, can I join you? She's like, of course. But she says, it's always been about you, though, Rocket. You know that. And that's insane because I saw a theory, or I read an article somewhere where where it was pointed out that the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is technically all about Rocket Raccoon. We could say, it's about this guy Peter Quill, and he's missing his girl and all of this and that. It is an ensemble movie, but you can see Rocket's transition not just within the Guardians movies, but in the Infinity War and Endgame movies. Rocket watches as his son Groot, his best friend, dies in front of him again. His whole entire crew is gone. He's left by himself, literally the only Guardian which is interesting. I bet he didn't fade away because he's one of a kind. But the only Guardian alive, working with the Avengers, trying to make sure things in space don't go to hell, right? He has been an a-hole in the beginning, fighting between him and Drax, then going, all right, I can do something more than be a mercenary. Second movie, still learning how to open up and finding that kinship between him and Yondu to where he's like, all right, I'm going to open up more. Losing people, things getting great. He was in the holiday special. The holiday special was nice and cute, but that was more about Drax and Mantis and Quill. And now in this movie, even though someone say he's sidelined, he's not sidelined, he's the damn plot. Even though once he wakes up, you can see that he's so much more matured. He's enjoying the music that's on Quill's Zoom. He is just more of a fleshed out character. And he even says when they're all trying to decide what the heck they're going to do, they're going to leave. They're going to get the other evolutions that the higher evolutionaries made. They're going to get the kids and leave. They're going to get what are they going to do? And Rocket goes, I'm done running. And that's when No Sleep from Brooklyn. As soon as he says, I'm done running, and steps forward, Quill follows right behind. Doesn't even argue. Follows right behind. Once Quill follows, everyone else follows. That is the transition into seeing Rocket the leader. Great and fantastic. Which I'm gonna go talk about the characters. I've already talked about Rocket. I do enjoy. Before I'm gonna talk more about Rocket before I talk about my three favorite scenes. One of my best lines he has, because he finds baby raccoons. And when he sees these baby raccoons, he looks at the thing, sees where they're from. They're from Earth. And their common name is raccoon. So he knows he's a raccoon. Sees all the babies. He's like, nah, I'm taking all these babies with me, right? Got some children's now. And when High Evolution comes after him, because that is his whole point. He wants his brain, and he's hell-bent on it. He has killed his own crew because they're like, his last recorder, which they have little computer brain things. She says, look, you're obsessing over this. We can start another colony. We can do other things. We don't need him. And the thing that fascinates him about Rocket is that Rocket was smarter than his creator. Rocket was able to come up and invent things without needing to be taught like every other creation. And once he confronts Rocket and he says, how dare you think you have an existence beyond me? You are what I tell you are. He calls him by his lab name, which I want to say is P8. Is it P189? I think it's P189. And when he developed gravity powers, by the way, he made himself get gravity powers just to make sure he was able to defend himself after the Rocket incident. And after he hits him, Rocket digs in his boot, turns on the gravity boots, because they all have gravity boots. He says, actually, I'm Rocket Raccoon. And that's when the rest of the team come in and kick his ass. And Gamora, she basically takes his face off. And they're like, well, his face is a mask, more or less, which reveals skeleton face and all that. Very horrible looking. And you could tell his face is all stretched out. As a matter of fact, Quill, when insulting him because he had Nebula, Mantis, and Drax, I think he called him RoboCop looking Skeletor before he can call him MF, or he got cut off. Yeah, they drop an F-bomb in here too. Where he tells Nebula to get in the fucking car. You get your one F-bomb. Got your one F-bomb. But that scene where they all team up and take his ass down, that is actually my number 2 favorite part. My number 1 favorite part, I already told you, was the ensemble fight, which was just so well done. Nebula's new power is you can break her neck, you can break her spine, and she just refigures and reassembles, which we've seen that before, but not in the way this is in here, because like she gets messed up bad and reconfigures and goes back to shooting and fighting. Fantastic. And I think Gamora had to fight like one of those things by herself. She ends up cutting it in half. Everybody's fight in there looked good. Like Kraglin and Cosmo wasn't there, but that whole thing was so good. That was probably one of the better hallway fights I've ever seen. And my third one was Kraglin and Cosmo, and Kraglin finally relenting and telling her she's a very good dog once he figures out how to do the whistle thing, because he got Yondu's fin and Arrow, figures out how to do the whistle thing because he sees Yondu amongst the people who are getting attacked and killed by these things. He says, "Use your heart, boy," and he kills these things. Although when it comes to Warhawk, thing gets stuck in the wall, and Cosmo gets in front, gets two large stones, anchor smash. That's what you get for messing with. He's like, no, he's like, just a dog? No, she's a good dog. I like that relationship that they have, especially since they're going to be new Guardians of the Galaxy. Now let's talk about some characters. I already mentioned to you about Rocket, Cosmo, and Kraglin. That's their whole part. Peter, his whole deal is he's not over Gamora. As a matter of fact, when he gets a moment to talk to this new Gamora again, who's, by the way, a Ravager, Sylvester Stallone shows up. So, and there's a snake, not like a Naga guy. Look up what a Naga is, Naga, who makes portals and stuff, and he emotes with gestures and stuff. Is he a space wizard? Is there like a space monastery that teaches the same thing that Doctor Strange knows? That is something I wish would be explored. That can easily be like a what if side story Disney Plus thing. I need to know. But Peter isn't over her death. When he gets a moment to talk to her, he's like, I can't sleep, and I cared about you, and he's pouring his heart out, and we get this funny moment where everybody is like, we all can hear you. And we get the color coding joke, which was great. And this whole entire saying that leads up into the Earth, Wind, and Fire, the Reasons. Oh, one of the best songs in this movie. He's telling her, he's like, we went on all these adventures and blah, 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 my dad. And then she got tossed over a special space mountain that killed her, but now she's back, and now she's a dick. And, I spent all this time and I was sad, and I almost killed half of the entire galaxy because I got upset about it, and blah, blah, blah. And it's great. All of it is great. I just, that interaction of him finally accepting, okay, I got to let it go, which was helped in part by Mantis telling Drax, since no one listens to her, she tells Drax to tell him, hey, you're like a frog going from lily pad to lily pad, and lily pads are women. Maybe you should just learn how to swim. And he's going to learn how to swim. He's going to try, but, I don't know if Peter, doesn't seem like he's gone from woman to woman since Gamora's been dead, but in other words, stop relying on this green lily pad Gamora. And she even says, I don't know what it is that you need for me to be with you, or for this relationship that you can't see in yourself, which is great when she pushes him and she's about to punch him, and Nebula stops that. She's like, I'm your sister. I'm your family. They're my family too. So stop being a dick. Peter's whole journey was great. He goes back to see his granddad, who the day his mom died, his granddad yelled at him, and they had just, he is retiring for now from being the leader of the Guardians to stop running. He's been running ever since she died, and he doesn't want to run anymore. Nebula's great because we finally get some emotion from her. When she finds that Rocket is alive, she breaks down and cries, which Mantis sees. Mantis is like, that's good. She's going to lead the new people that have come in, because now they got more people. They have these new Jeep Gleep kids that are they got a bunch of animals there now too. She's gonna help lead these folks, and so she kind of retires, but she has some really great moments. She is a great anti-hero. I kind of wish she was still on the whole official team, but I get it. Sometimes these guys you're gonna have to take a sabbatical every once in a while, right? Mantis, her whole entire thing is, hey, I did everything Ego wanted me to do. Now I did everything that the Guardians need me to do. I need to go and find out what I want. And she's able to control the Abolix, which is the creatures from the second movie, because she rightfully says when they get dropped into the pit with three of them, she goes, they only eat batteries, and I think they're only just attacking just because they're afraid of what we're gonna do. and she connects with them, and she has those as powerful allies. So maybe we're gonna get some more. Maybe I don't know, because Mantis can already fight really well, and Mantis is an interesting character in the comics. So maybe she's gonna go off and find Swordsman. Although I thought Swordsman showed up in Hawkeye. Interesting where they might take her. Drax is not going with her because Nebula needs Drax there after believing that he offered nothing to the team despite being a super powerhouse who knocked down a whole space door so they wouldn't die in space. His real calling is being a dad. He connected with these higher evolutionary kids that he created. He spoke their language, their jeep, jeep, leap, leap language. He's still dumb, but he offers something there. These characters don't die, which is great. Batista may say he's done with the MCU. Zoe Saldana definitely says she's done being Gamora. And they have suggested recasting, but I don't know. Give people enough time to stay away from something for a while. Maybe they'll come back, right? Because Karen Gilliam, she wants to be Nebula again, who I found out is a cross between Clint Eastwood and Marilyn Monroe with how she speaks. I like that. That's spot on, and that's great. Who else? I can't really get Mario, right? Guy who plays Peter Quill. Chris Pratt. He wants to come back. And actually, our end credit scene is him having cereal with his granddad because he's going to cut some lady's lawn. He's like, I'll do it, but it's so weird that her 40-year-old son is just going to sit there and watch. And granddad's like, don't even get me started. And then we see the legendary Star-Lord will return. So he's going to come back one day. Gamora's back with the Ravengers, but it's great because we have this whole through line where she doesn't understand Groot. Like, he's saying, I am Groot. And she's like, yeah, we know you're Groot. She's like, are you guys just making up what he says? And it means her heart hasn't opened up to understanding the Groot. I think that's the secret of his tree people's language. Towards the end, after they've all fought together and cried together, they did a group hug because Peter did a hug. It was him, it was Groot, Peter, and Rocket. They all hugged when Rocket didn't die, and she smiled at that. She looked upset when it looked like Rocket was going to die. So I saw you turning there. And when the whole group hugged Peter, when it looked like he was going to die because he went back for the zoom as the ship was exploding. And I haven't even gotten to the part about the planet exploding, which, wow. But he goes back for the zoom, looks like he's going to die. Adam Warlock gets him. Even Adam Warlock joins in the hug because Adam Warlock is essentially a child. No shade. Essentially a child. We have... So Gamora's grown in her heart, but she's gone back with the Ravengers. They're her family now. I really hope Zoe Saldana comes back. Like, it's going to be... I'm cool with recast, but a lot of these characters' personalities and how they are played so well by these actors... I would like to see them again. It doesn't have to be soon, but come on, guys. Multiverse of Madness. We got to... Come on. Not Multiverse of Madness. Oh, wait. It is Multiverse because of Kang. And we will not talk about that until next week with the whole Kang and Jonathan Majors issue. Groot, as long as you don't destroy Groot's head can grow more roots, which he does. He does say, I love you guys. So we finally get to hear, and I don't think it's Groot speaking, even though we do hear him say, we are Groot. I think it's Groot saying, I am Groot, and us, the viewers, being able to hear him say, I love you guys. That's what I think. I don't think he's outwardly saying, I love you guys. I think it's us being able to understand him. He does the cool move from the trailer, and in the movie, Peter's like, all right, kill them all. Mind you, Peter Quill throughout this whole thing told Gamora and I think Drax, we're not going to kill anybody. But when it came to the higher evolutionary and the one roly-poly recorder who had all the data in his head after he deleted the data before, he had it in his head. Peter's like, all right, we're going to kill all of them now. And Groot, all of his vines and stuff pop out with these guns from the comics as well, shooting everybody down. Peter has this cool thing. He takes the dude out of the flying ship thing and they fly down. He drags this dude into the ground, which kills him and pops off his head, pops off the little head thing. Groot was there. I enjoyed Groot. I wish. Nah, I mean, I liked the way the old Groot looked with the tall lankiness, but this Groot, so this end credit scene Groot, he's massive, just like how he is when you first see early pictures of the Guardians of the Galaxy with Rocket standing on Groot. Groot is massive, and we have finally gotten massive Groot at the end of this movie, and I hope he looks like Super Tree Man Groot with and they need to give him a suit. He needs a suit that fits and stretches on him. So give me that. That's the only complaint I have, is that he doesn't have a suit. But I guess you want to see, vines and all that. But I need to see a gigantic Groot in a suit. Let's talk about Adam Warlock, who is dumb. He is dumb like Drax. We get a Nathan Fillion cameo who's like, oh, yeah. He says to Drax, yeah, I got one of those dummies on my team, too. And then we get it when he meets with Adam Warlock and his mom, Alyssa. He's like, yeah, he's dumb. Don't worry, I got one of those, too. But he is a powerhouse. He shows up. Like, we hit the ground running. He shows up, beats their ass, leaves. All right, then. But I think he's going to be a great addition. He is part of the team at the end. High Evolutionary, evil, POS, just 100% evil. And it's crazy because even Nebula says the thing that he did to Rocket, because they were able to see it through the little cube, what he did to Rocket was way worse than what I went through. He's single-minded. He's so jealous of Rocket's intelligence, and he's just so narcissistic and so like, oh, I'm trying to make everything better. And Rocket poignantly says, no, you just didn't like how everything was, and you're not trying to make it better. You just didn't like how everything was, and you're still an a-hole. The first end credit scene showing all of the Guardians, the new Guardians, because most of the people retired. We had Kraglin, Groot, Cosmo, Rocket, but we have Adam Warlock, and we have new character Phyla Vale. Phyla Vale was the one child that we see running in the wheel, and the one leader child amongst all of them. And I thought she was going to be a different character. I thought she was going to be Moondragon, who is Drax the Destroyer's actual daughter, Arthur Douglas's daughter, Heather Douglas, in the comics. But no, but Phyla Vale and is actually the lover of Moondragon. She's actually, they're actually an item. They're a couple. So this case, she's also was known as Captain Marvel. She is one of the children of Captain Marvel from her brother Genus Vale messing with the universe and her coming about. She's gone by Quasar because she got the Quasar Advance from Wendell. She's known by Captain Marvel, and she was known as Martyr. Now, the character in 616 was killed, but she came back from an alternate universe due to the Infinity Warp situation that was going on there. The actress that played her, because you're not gonna find it on Wikipedia unless you look up Phyla Vale. The character, her name was Kai Zen. So got another person of color, and this is a canonical LGBTQ character. So I look forward to seeing her aged up in the future. I'm looking forward to more Guardian stuff. Hopefully it'll be just as good as this original trio. But yeah, just fun. Actually, this was a great movie. And all in all, it's a 5 out of 5 from me. It's a must see. I'm definitely going to pick up the Blu-ray as soon as it comes out. This movie was fantastic. And by the way, one of the best highlights was all of them wearing comics accurate Guardians of the Galaxy suits. Yes, you can have characters in a group wear different clothing and different costumes, but I love seeing them all in that same suit, just like in the comic books, which proves that the X-Men can do it, but you don't have to do black leather. But I've held you guys here long enough. I love this movie. It's a 5 out of 5 from me. It's a must see. It's a go watch. Watch it as soon as you can. Let me know what you thought of the movie in the comment section down below. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be notified of more videos just like this one. And I thank you for taking all this time to listen to me ramble about this fantastic movie. Honestly, I really kind of want to go see it again. It's just great, and I still haven't told you everything. I haven't even mentioned about the high evolutionary blowing up a planet when the people mimicked what happens on Earth. Like there was some guy selling meth to people, and people getting beat up, and high evolutionary is like, yeah, it's not perfect, so he blows it up like he's done before. But please, be good, be blessed, wash your hands, take care of yourselves, be good to yourselves, be good to others. Either way it goes, please don't be a jerk. All right? All right? Realize that you are not alone. There are people out there that care about you. Reach out to someone. Someone rather talk to you today than miss you tomorrow. So with that, guys, I'm Shane. Stay true to yourself. Be good, true believers. And I will definitely see you next time.